appreciate it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I neglected to say that this is the December 19th meeting of the Town Council. Hopefully everybody's aware of that. And we're all here tonight. Eileen is on vacation, so she's excused from this meeting. By way of announcements, on behalf of the Town Council, Merrimack Town Council, I would like to offer condolences to the family and friends of Edward Blaine, who passed on Sunday, December 15th at the age of 86. Edward was the first director of Public Works in Merrimack and continued to work as a civil engineer for the town of Merrimack and the town of Salem prior to retiring. The Community Advisory Council met and discussed the following 9 points from the town of Merrimack's letter. 1, immediately ceasing the use of PFOA, PFOS, PFHXS, and PFNA, including all forms and their precursors, collectively PFAS, from Merrimack operations until installation of a thermal oxidizer or other air emissions control technology with guaranteed 99% removal efficiency. 2, to agree to 99% removal of PFAS, which is part of the best available control technology, and a shutdown mechanism for an exceedance of any condition or violations in New Hampshire DES-issued air permit. To replace the roof and gutter system at the Merrimack facility, replacing the stormwater piping and control system, and commence filtration of stormwater to comply with applicable standards. Clean PFAS from the sewer line from where St. Gobain's Merrimack facility connects to the interceptor to the nearest pumping station. Pump groundwater at St. Gobain's Merrimack facility to an on-site treatment system for treatment to comply with applicable standards. Cover all costs associated with the removing of PFAS from MVD wells 4 and 5, including ongoing operation and maintenance, filter replacement, etc. 8, to install a scrubber to remove hydrogen fluoride from the stack emissions. And 9, St. Gobain's Merrimack facility shall comply with all current and future PFAS regulations. These are the 9 points we put in our letter to St. Gobain of what we were asking as a town of Merrimack. And the advisory council discussed those points and is planning to have them as a center point of their ongoing discussions. Upcoming town council meetings, Thursday, January 9th. We have one scheduled for the 8th. We're going to be discussing that later on today, so whether we have it or not will end up being a decision that we make tonight. Wednesday, January, that's our regular meeting. Wednesday, January 15th is a budget meeting. Thursday, January 16th may or may not be another budget meeting, and then January the 23rd would be a regular meeting here in the Thornton Room. Paul, did you have other announcements?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Absentee ballots for the February 11th presidential primary are now available at the town clerk's office. The Merrimack Police Department is still accepting applications for the Merrimack Police Citizens Academy. The course will be held every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. beginning January 15th and will run for 10 weeks. The program will educate the participants in the police operations and help the participants have a better understanding of how the police officers do their jobs. There are only a few slots left to sign up today. You can sign up today by going to the Merrimack Police Department's website or follow the Merrimack Police Department's Facebook page and download the application. Thank you.
Thanks. And Nancy, you had something?
Yes, I'd like to make a short announcement. As you know, I'm a member of the commission for the PFAS for the state, and we've established just a little blurb that we're going to be putting on each town's website, and I want to make sure that you're aware of what it says. It's going to be labeled, and I just lost the picture. Give me a minute. Commission established to study PFAS impacts to local area. A law passed in 2019 establishes a commission to investigate and analyze the environmental and public health impacts relating to releases of PFAS in the air, soil, and groundwater in Merrimack, Bedford, and Litchfield. The commission began meeting in October 2019, and information pertaining to their work, including meeting minutes, documents, and agendas, is accessible. And I'm going to have a link to that site on the website, and there's also going to be a list of commission members can be found, another link. So I wanted to make sure I met with your approval to do that, put it on the website, so that any citizens who want to know more about it will know to go to the website, and the links will bring you right to the correct site.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Okay, thank you.
Is that okay
Thank
with
you.
everybody? All right. I had one other announcement from last week's meeting. Paul Adams, the recruiting assistant in Hillsborough, Manchester contact for the U.S. Census, will be at the library on Wednesdays from 1 to 5 p.m. He's available to answer questions about the census and to talk to people who might want to help. As you recall, we had a discussion with the regional director or something from the Census Bureau last meeting, I think it was. And the census is coming up in 2020. It's very important. They say it's very easy, it's very confidential, and it's very important that everybody get counted so that we can all get credit for who's where, relative to distribution of a lot of federal dollars and things of that nature. So we're going to have ongoing reminders to everybody that the census is coming, and be prepared that by March or April you need to fill in your form or you're going to start getting bugged by the Census Bureau. Okay? That's it. Any other announcements at this point? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have no, we do, probably, maybe do, excuse me. Comments from the press and public. Anybody that wishes to make a comment for the town council? Seeing none. We have no resignations, or retirements tonight, nor appointments or public hearings. Legislative updates from state reps. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Janice.
What's that?
Happy Advent. I
Happy,
guess I should say.
something like that, yes.
So I'm just gonna pick up where I left off last time. I showed you the ISO to go app.
Yeah, is your
Did
mic
you-
on? I don't know if you checked it, but
It's on.
thank you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but just make sure the button is green.
It's bright green.
Okay,
yes.
thanks.
You weren't here, Councilor Rothaus and Albert. This, the ISO to go map app. I should show you what it looks like. I hope you can see that tiny little app. This is real time right now, how much we're paying per megawatt. What I didn't show you last time on this app is it has the fuel mix. So last time I looked at this, it didn't have oil or coal in the mix, but we do now because it's freezing. So sometimes we do need that. I was in New Orleans last weekend for a conference. It was a forum on issues, every issue under the sun. There was this poor man who, there was no one on his side. He was talking about food labeling and how we talked about the Burger King plant-based burger that's not really meat. And we all felt that it was false advertising, but no, he stood his ground and said, no, people know that it's not real meat because just how they know milk of magnesia is not from a cow and neither is almond milk, so whatever. I just thought I'd bring that up. So this is the pamphlet that came with it with all the different issues, and I won't go over all of them. But I did want to leave you with this. This is from an article that I came across that has to do with fuel and the Merrimack station, the Bow station, that the coal plant. And one of the issues that we talked about was energy and how we really need to rethink the current trend to do away with all fossil fuels because sometimes we do need them. And the modern world actually runs on fossil fuels. And they showed us a video of everything in your house, right down to your yoga pants, are manufactured using fossil fuels. We cannot have any of the items that we have in our modern day without them. So it's just something to keep in mind. So I'm going to leave this with you. And sorry, whatever I dropped there. I came across this ad in the magazine from the Energy Symposium that I attended, but had to leave early last month. And this is Stephanie Lamb. I've known her for several years, and I've got her card. I've attached it. I'm going to leave this with you because this company cleans up environmental disasters, including water. So whatever else happens, or if you next time you're dealing with the water people, the St. Cobain people, this is a company that can clean up everything. But I don't think we should have to pay for it. Let them do that. And the last thing, another issue that we talked about was drugs and asset forfeiture. And this is I forgot to look up the bill number. I don't know if it has one yet. So this is the LSR for a bill that I'm going to co-sponsor. And it permits funds in the drug forfeiture in the drug forfeiture fund to be used for the establishment of substance misuse addiction recovery or rehabilitation centers, programs, or services. So I think it's a good bill, and I hope it passes. And that the opioid crisis is just not getting better, and it hit home this past month with the boy in my neighborhood that grew up with one of my sons, and the month before, a boy, another OD from one of my younger sons. So, and if you have any questions, I can answer.
No, thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Janine. Did she pick up her piece that she dropped, or it was something? No, okay, great. Town managers report. Got there quick.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm pleased to inform the council that the pest and rodent problem that occurred at Station 3 has been eradicated and is all cleaned up.
The what problem?
The rodent, the
Oh,
critter,
the
the
critters.
critter problem at Station 3,
Okay,
North
Merrimack
Fire Station
Fire
over by
Station, yeah,
Gilbert
the
Crossings.
North Fire Station, right.
Has been eradicated and cleaned up. Also want to congratulate Don, our town engineer, and Greg, a highway foreman, who were awarded the Master Road Scholars distinction through the UNH T-Squared program. To achieve Master Road Scholar, the candidate must take up to 100 hours of training in public works and specific courses in categories of environmental, safety, supervisory, and technical training. To receive this honor is a big honor for the town, so now we have 2 more Master Road Scholars. And finally, Bedford Road Bridge update. The early onset of winter and frost in the ground, combined with difficulties with relocating the utilities in the area, the contractor will not be able to shift traffic onto the new bridge in this year. Traffic will continue to utilize the detour bridge through the winter before moving to the new bridge in one-way alternating pattern this spring, with full traffic open to the bridge in late summer or late spring, early summer. We thank the users of Bedford Road Bridge for their patience and understanding for this very important project.
So we hope to get it done by the end of the year, and now it's gonna be like 6 months out, or?
Yeah, because they can't do a lot of the moving of the dirt and
When it's frozen.
when it's frozen. So it puts it on hold. The bridge itself, the abutments, the steel, the deck is there. It's now we have to we have to move electrical poles and things of that sort, and regrading the road and trying to get that where it needs to be is going to be all dependent on the weather in the spring.
Can't do it
and-
when it's frozen, and we can't do it in the early spring when
When
it's
it's
mud
wet.
season.
Right, so
Paul,
Great.
I know a lot of people have asked me, can we, and I appreciate you announcing it here, but have we put that up on our website, the projected finish date?
I will double check on that. I believe the highway DPW's Facebook page has had that,
Okay,
but I'll double check on our webpage.
yeah. And one other thing, I got approached by 3 people regarding when you're coming down Pearson Road to Bedford Road, and
Okay.
they are saying that the lights are not functioning properly to get them out of there. So it's been causing a lot of people to take actions they might not normally take.
Okay,
So just maybe, I don't know if Kyle wants to have somebody look at that.
I'll have Dawn or Kyle go out tomorrow and check that out.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. I do have one more announcement.
Okay,
We just upgraded our whole phone server in the town of Merrimack on Tuesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday, we were upgrading all the telephones in the town of Merrimack. That has been successful. Knock on wood. The company we hired was very professional. They came in, and actually, as of 9 o'clock Monday night, when I left here, I did not know if we were going to be able to do it Tuesday morning. They worked through the night to get the problem resolved. 6:30 Tuesday morning, we were ready to go, and we got dispatch up and running first, fire station, wastewater treatment plant, and everybody else. So I just want to let everybody know the project is going along. There's still some more stuff that needs to be done in it, but all our phones should be working. And to the residents, if they call a number and they are not getting an answer, or they're getting a quick busy, please dial the town manager's office at 424-2331 and let us know if there's been a problem with one of the phones. Thank you.
Awesome. Nancy?
Quick question about the critter problem. Now, part of it was getting rid of the critters, but also improving the building itself to prevent re-enters. That was done too?
Yes, the company we hired fortified the corners and some of the
Like some of the walls.
some of the
and stuff.
walls. On one section of the wall closest to the restaurant area, the homestead, he actually came in and put hot patch in there so that they couldn't get up and under,
Dig under.
to dig underneath. Did the corners, what he needed to do, checked every rib to make sure it was working properly, did ceiling, actually changed out a lower panel on one of the garage doors, had the garage doors adjusted so they closed properly. So I walked through it with him, and it was funny because I was looking for light coming through underneath, and there wasn't much light in a couple of areas, and I pointed it out. He goes, well, it's siliconed. Clear silicone, and you go in there, and yeah, it was clear silicone, but he made sure it was there. There was one area, he actually took the weather stripping on the doors and cut the bottoms out and put in steel, like a piece of metal.
So they,
So they
wouldn't
won't,
eat into
they
it.
can't
Can't-
eat into
can't
it.
eat
So
through
he did a great job. He has traps set in there in case. He said that if they do come in again, call him up. More than happy to go back down there, and he's warrantying his work, so he feels that it's critter free.
So everything had to be taken out of that place first, right?
Yes, some of the equipment was taken out. Other portions that we could not put outside, we moved
To get access.
To get access. It was he did the front first, then we moved all the stuff in the front out. There was a kitchen in there. They took everything out of the kitchen. He cleaned the kitchen, he cleaned the counters, he cleaned the cabinets, he cleaned the refrigerator. There was an office area. They took everything out. He cleaned all of that up. So everything was cleaned and
Excellent.
disinfected.
Great, thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments for the announcements? Seeing none, we'll move along. We have no consent agenda for tonight, nor old business, which brings us into new business and consideration for Eagle Scout project at Wasserman Park. Submitted by Parks and Rec Director Matthew Kasparius, the Town Council to consider Boy Scout Jay Haddad's proposed Eagle Scout project to utilize the existing lifeguard shack currently used for storage and turn it into public changing rooms for patrons using the beach at Wasserman Park. Jay, and whoever else you need or want.
I have a few handouts I'd like to hand out just to make it a bit easier if the screen's too small. I only have 5. Is there
Is it similar to what we have already, or is it?
similar? There's a couple of changes, mainly just like adding a map to it. So if you
Okay.
I'll add it. I just have a couple of things if you want to for that.
What, is it gonna be part of your presentation?
It's not necessary. It's everything that's on here will be up on that screen.
Okay.
But,
Okay,
just if this
great.
helps, they'll just hear if anyone. Okay. Okay, so hi, my name is Jay Haddad, and as it's already been stated, the presentation or the project that I will be proposing today, we're going to be converting an old lifeguard shack into a changing room for the Natticook Lake at Wasserman Park. Okay, so today mainly I'm going to be going over just an introduction about myself and the project, what the project is, why I'm doing this specific project, costs, how much this is going to cost, and how I'm going to plan on fundraising that money, the timing of the project, so how long it'll take, when I plan on getting all of my approvals, and when I do all the fundraising, and any questions if you have any at the end. Okay, so as I've stated, my name is Jay Haddad. I'm a Life Scout currently in Troop 424, and I'm junior assistant scoutmaster for that troop, which basically means that I make sure that all the scouts and adults know what's going on both ends and kind of coordinate between the two just to make sure there's no misunderstandings. I'm on the road to Eagle Scout, and these approvals are some of my first steps to getting that, along with other merit badges I'll be working on the side. And I'm a junior student at Merrimack High School. My goal today, or my goal over the next few months, will be to convert this unused space to make it something that's actually useful and can be used by residents of the town and the campers that go to Wasserman Park. So a short history. The original use of this cabin was a living place for the lifeguards. It wasn't a sleeping area. It was more of a place that they could go to leave their stuff during the day. There was a bathroom and a shower in there. So it's just somewhere that they could go during the day when they weren't being a lifeguard. This stopped getting used some time ago, in between the time frame of at least 3 years ago. I don't know specifically. But now it's more of just a storage area for them to just put stuff that doesn't have any extra space. It's just everything's thrown in there and cluttered up, and it's just a really poor use of the space, especially with how good of an area it's in. And the shed hasn't been used in quite a bit, and it's starting to not get too run down, but it could definitely use a repair. So the proposed project, this cabin is located very close to the waterfront at Natticook Lake. So this is a very good spot to put these changing rooms. We'll be tearing down a wall, which I'll point out to once we get to the design of the area. There's a wall that is in the middle that if we tear that down, make it so we can add up to 7 changing stalls, 2 of which will be large enough for families or handicap, depending on what's needed. And with those 2 handicap doors being 36 inches, so they are ADA compliant. But this project will not specifically be going into ADA compliance. That will be focused on in the future. We're taking steps towards making it ADA compliant, but that will not be completed in this project. The bathroom will be renovated. We will be tearing out a toilet and a sink and tearing out a shower and separately. We'll be adding a new toilet and sink, redoing a little bit of plumbing, and adding tiles to the floor. New lights will be added to the area to brighten up the whole space in places that will be efficient with the wall torn down. So we might have to do we won't specifically be doing wiring, and we don't know how the wiring is going to get done yet. If they need we believe that a licensed electrician will be needed to do that. So we are going to be figuring that out soon. The walls on the inside will be painted. The specific color of paint is depending on what Mr. Kasparius is requesting, which is still up in the air. And then we'll be adding railings to the front stairs of the building just to ensure safety. Right now it's just 3 concrete slabs sort of in front of it. So we'll be adding the railings in front of it just to ensure safety. So here's a small map of the camp. It's only this area that's being focused on. You can see that the lifeguard shack that we'll be upgrading is very close to the waterfront. So it's a very good spot, as I've said, to be doing this changing room. And it's not as close as the current changing area, which is just a single porta potty, but this is probably much more efficient. So this is a current look of how the building looks. There's four separate areas. The main one, which is right at the front door, is an entrance area. There's a shelf there and some coat hangers, probably to put shoes and stuff back when the lifeguards used that. And then the first area on the inside, that's right now mainly just storage. I don't really know what that used to be used for. And then the back area is also just for storage. And then the small room right next to the entrance, that is currently where the bathroom is. There's currently just a sink and a toilet in there and nothing else, so we'll be fixing that up a lot. So the wall is separating the 2 large rooms. As you can see in this design, that has been taken out with methods that we'll be tearing that down ourselves. And we'll be adding the 5 small cabins, or the 5 small changing stalls and the 2 big ones. If there are any other I don't know if you need specifically the dimensions of the cabinet or of the changing stalls, but if anyone does, now is a good time to ask.
Okay, well, I'll ask.
Okay.
What are the dimensions?
So the small ones are 43 inches by 40 inches, and the big ones are about 69 inches by 83 inches. Some cut off with the door. It had to go at an angle to make it big enough for it to be handicap usable. At the 36 inches.
Okay, and these have doors on them?
Yes, they all have doors on them. The small ones, it's not shown on this design, or it's shown on the right one. Right now, it's just those blank spaces, doors will go there. That was just difficult to do in the CAD software
drawing,
that we
yeah.
used. The small ones will be 35 inches. So they will be big enough for most people to use.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so and then leadership that will be used for this project. For the fundraising, I'll be leading scouts to help me in fundraisers such as bake sales or selling other goods such as chili or anything like that we do over the next couple of months. And I just make sure everyone's doing the job that they're given to maximize efficiency so that we can get as much done as we can and as quickly as we can, because the goal is to just get the money and get started with the project. With the work days, we're going to be doing a lot of work, especially with like demo of that wall and then construction, drilling, sawing wood, all that. So mainly the work days will be scheduled in a way that's convenient for people that are helping me. I'm going to make sure they go smoothly so that everyone stays safe and that everything gets done in a way that the Parks and Rec has agreed on and that I think will be good. And then the scouts and adults will be assigned a task based on their skill sets so that everyone has a job they're comfortable with and that they can do safely.
Good.
Okay, so the total cost is about $1,700, a little bit less. This is just a long list of everything that is needed for this project, with an added 10% contingency in case prices go up or if I need anything else that I've missed out on. But this is just the base price that I found using the Lowe's website. This could go down very greatly if I can get a deal from Reed's Ferry Lumber, which all of my fellow scouts that have done a project involving wood have gotten good deals from them. So I'm hoping for that. So for fundraising, this project will be funded via bake sales outside of supermarkets such as Shaw's and Market Basket. And adults and scouts from my troop will hopefully volunteer to help me if they're willing to. And I'll have them help me make baked goods so we can sell and then raise money and any other donations that are given at this bake sale by other people coming through. So with the timing for this, I've gotten the Merrimack Parks and Rec approval on November 20th of this year. The town council approval, I am doing that. I believe that's the wrong date, but I'm doing that today. The troop committee approval, I forgot to update this, but that I did yesterday, and that got approved. So I'm hopefully able to go into all 3 out of 4 of the first dates are wrong, but the Eagle Board with the troop committee having been done yesterday, I'm hopefully in the lines of doing the Eagle Board in this upcoming month of January, as long as slot is open. If not, then that date would be correct. The fundraising for this project will happen in between December, or as soon as the Eagle Board gets approved, and then in between, hopefully by the end of March, we want to have all the money for this. Around 4 days worth of fundraising, hopefully, maybe upwards of that as needed. Assembly of the changing rooms will be done as soon as we're finished fundraising, or not even finished. We're going to start fundraising or start building as soon as we have enough money to start. So we don't need all of the money to get started. We can raise money and work as we go. And that is hoped to be done. Most of the changing rooms, we hope to have that done by June 1st or just very early June. And then everything else we hope to have done by at least halfway through June, because that's around when the summer camp programs are soon to be started. And one of the main goals for this project is to have it ready for the summer camp. That would be very nice. So we hope to have it done by then. And this project will be completed and usable in a usable condition by mid to late January. And that's everything I have.
Say that over again. You're going to have it done by late June or mid-June.
By late June. Did I say January?
Yeah, you did.
I meant to say June.
Okay.
We thought.
I saw a J, and January's coming up.
Good comeback.
Don't
So-
skip Christmas. My kids would get really upset.
All right. Thank you all very much for listening. So if there's any other questions besides if it's going to be finished January, I can hear those now. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Jay?
I
Go
have
ahead,
no
Vin.
questions. I just wanted to say that was a great presentation and a heck of an endeavor you want to undertake here. I'm happy to support it.
Thank you.
Lon?
Yeah, good to see you again. And
You as well.
we put him through his paces at Parks and Rec.
Okay.
So we
We-
don't have to.
We had Mike there and, or Matt rather, and that committee's, as Pete probably could back me up, they're pretty sharp, they know. But I have to tell you, your presentation then and now, one of the best I've seen.
Thank you
And
very
I
much.
Thank you for it.
Sure.
I'm sorry,
She went down,
Mom wants to take a picture.
okay, but, go ahead, Paul?
I just want to let you know that if you do need an electrician, we have an electrician that we can get out there that is on contract with us for things like that. Just get in touch with Matt Kasparius out there at the park, and he can get the electrician down there to help you out if you need it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jay, great job. Seriously, great job. This is the best, I'm sure I can speak for all the councilors, that when we get an Eagle Scout presentation, it makes our night. It's the best part of why we sit here. We get to listen to
It's true.
young people like yourself, make our community even better. So thank you so much for the project. A couple of questions. The changing rooms, are they going to be unisex changing rooms?
I believe they will. It all depends on how the camp wants to do them. If they send the boys in first and then send the girls in, or vice versa. That won't be up to me. It's just however Matthew wants to do that, or Mr. Kasparius.
And then you're going to have locking doorknobs to protect privacy for the,
Yes, they will have a hook and eye lock on all of them, so that won't be a problem.
okay, good deal. Is Mom and Dad here tonight?
Yes.
You did a great job. You should be very proud of them, so. And
Just-
Mr. Faust, good to see you again. Thank you for what you do and bringing young men to us with these projects, so. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Quick question, or maybe it's already come up. When you are ordering the doorknobs and stuff, I would recommend you get a doorknob in the front that you can lock, because I wouldn't be surprised if the Parks and Recreation wants to lock that up at night. So if you get it, you might want to check with Matt, but I suspect they'll want that.
Yeah, I'll see if he.
So while you're getting a doorknob, you might as well get one with a lock on it.
Yeah, I'll see. I'll check with him, see how he wants to deal with that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I found that lever doorknobs are a lot easier to deal with than round ones, especially if you have wet hands or muddy hands or something like that.
That's a good
But,
point.
You know, that's gonna impact your cost. Peter?
Jay, nice presentation, by the way.
Thank
And, thank God for you Boy Scouts coming
know.
in, that you guys keep improving, Wasserman Park on a regular basis, year after year. So thank you and all the other Boy Scouts. And Scoutmaster Faust, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, but you love it.
Okay, any other comments or questions? I think you did a great job. I
You
really
did.
appreciate it. You did
Thank
a
you.
nice job presentation. We could hear you. You were clear and concise, and that was
And
very
you
well
didn't even
done.
look nervous. Were you? Well,
I try
Just
not
talked
to be.
about January instead of
you
June,
just.
but that's,
well, but that's
that's
but
pretty
even.
good.
But that's pretty good.
That's pretty
you
darn
came
good.
back really well with that.
And you, yeah, you
And if you were really nervous, you weren't thrown off at all. So good.
Well,
good
thank
job.
you.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the town council approve Life Scout Jay Haddad's proposed Eagle Scout project to utilize the existing Life Shack, which is currently used for storage, and turning it into public changing rooms for patrons using the beach at Wasserman Park, and that furthermore, that the town manager or her proxy be authorized to sign any paperwork necessary to move Mr. Haddad's project forward.
Second.
So a motion made by Bill and seconded by Barb to approve the project from Life Scout Jay Haddad. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll go for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 7-0, Jay.
Jay, thank you very much.
Congratulations. If there's anything you need us to sign to move you forward,
I have one paper.
oh, okay. Even better still.
Look, it even comes with a pen.
Mr. and Mrs. Haddad, thank you.
So where am I
Thank you
signing?
very much.
Sorry, let me just check real quick. This would be
Town or owner or something?
second. Can I come right back?
Sure, no problem.
Hold that thought.
Just don't hold your breath.
Get your glasses out.
Go.
So this would be the beneficiary.
Where? Oh,
bottom left.
just down, oh, beneficiary
Yeah.
approval.
Yeah, that one.
Thanks.
Is it okay if I start cleaning up?
Very efficient.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you very
Will
much.
you
Okay.
have a test tomorrow?
I don't, I hope not.
Well, fortunately, you picked a night where you can get by really quick, so.
Well, I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah, you got a good night.
We do try to get them earlier on, all right?
Well, yeah, but sometimes that doesn't work out much better. Okay. Thank you very much, Jay. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Jim.
Thank you, good luck.
And.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas, you and the family.
Merry Christmas.
What? That's great. If you need to do you want to do a picture of some sort, or we can do something really quick.
We can, absolutely.
Do you want, how do you want it, do you want to get the council a little closer together?
Sure, we can do
Maybe
that.
we can
No, no.
stand up and, do you want to go up front or you want to just stand back? Let's go up front.
Let's go front.
It'll make a better
Can
picture.
we, take a recess? Tom, do you wanna do a recess?
I hate to say it, Kelly, but, you know,
This is one of those events you wanna get a picture of. Probably should be in the background. This is one of the events you wanna get a picture of. Who walks around pictures? This will go in your baby book, you know that. You'll see this picture 40 years from now.
Thank you.
You'll say, oh, those wings were really old. It's hard to behave yourself. You know, still, camera's still going.
I know, sorry about that. Okay, that brings us to a discussion about an assistant technology coordinator position, discussion submitted by the town manager and assistant town manager, the town council to discuss and consider creating an assistant technology coordinator position. Paul, I'm hoping you're gonna lead us on this one.
Yes, thank you. I want to give you a little background. The technology assistant position was created, and the goal was to give our technology coordinator much-needed assistance. Through the years, at the time, we weren't looking at succession planning, but we were looking to help out the technology coordinator in his day-to-day duties. The position was set up to be less technical in duties and more of a helping the technology coordinator get away from putting laptops or computers on desk or changing out monitors and things of that sort, so he could handle the more technical with the phone servers and VMware and things of that sort. We've had a change in position of our technology assistant, and about a month and a half ago, the technology coordinator told us that he'd be looking to retire within the next 12 to 15 months. So at that time, Eileen, myself, and Sharon got together and said we need to really look at the technology assistant position and maybe upgrade that to more of a hands-on kind of more technical person than just somebody who could change out monitors or put laptops on people's or computers on people's desks. Currently, the technology assistant position is a grade 11, and the salary range is between $43,000 and $62,000. We're looking to upgrade the position to a grade 15, which is $25.60 an hour to $36.26 an hour, or between about $53,000 and $75,000 a year. we feel that this technology coordinator position would be more in line with the level of education, skills, and responsibilities of these positions by upgrading this to a grade 15. Some of the enhancements to duties that we're looking at in changing in the job description is we're looking for somebody with an associate's degree in computer science, a minimum of 5 years experience in the realm of computer science, experience managing Microsoft VMware servers and associated hardware, including but not limited to Active Directory, Group Policy, SQL Server Manager, SAN Technology, Linux, and Unix would be helpful. Also required knowledge of Windows Server operations, configuration, IP and routing protocols, DHCP, Active Directory, Exchange, Web, and a host of other computer-related technologies, and as well as many certifications. In looking at the position, could you pass these out, please? I just need one. Thank you. We researched what surrounding areas are doing. And Merrimack has 185 full-time employees, approximately 35 part-time employees. We have currently in the budget 2 full-time IT positions. Salem contracts out their IT services. Bedford has 150 full-time employees, 15 part-time employees. They have 1 full-time IT person, and they just requested another full-time IT person. Derry, I won't get into it, but Derry has 3 full-time IT people. Hollis has 1 full-time person. They also only have about 57 full-time employees. Laconia has 2 full-time people. Rochester has 4. Concord has 6. I did some research with Londonderry because Londonderry outsourced their IT department for the town, fire, and police. The contractor provides 2 individuals who are on site Monday through Friday for town hall, fire, and police, and they provide a 3rd individual for the police department for 32 hours a week. Roughly, they pay about $250,000 for these services. That does not include any server upgrades. That doesn't include software. That doesn't include of licensing or anything of that sort, or maintenance agreements. That's just having staff. Last year, the town of Merrimack spent around $196,000 for our staff, as well as 2 outside consultants that we use when we have issues to help us with problems on our servers and things of that sort. In 17-18, once again, we spent about $196,000 for the 2 full-time staff and 2 outside companies that we can use, call them in, they're on call. We call them in to help us with the problems and issues. What we're asking for is that we can upgrade this position from a grade 11, the technology assistant from a grade 11 to a grade 15, please. I'm willing to try to answer any questions I can.
Mr. Chair.
There is no try. Peter,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Paul, it's not a question, it's a statement of support for this. I think that one of the things we do as a municipality is we collect information, a lot of vital, important, personal, private information. And I think that in light of, you see, current events, cybersecurity is important, having the right competent people involved in taking care of those issues and creating the security as well as the technical knowledge is very important. So I wholeheartedly support this.
Thank you.
Finley?
Thanks, Tom. I don't have a problem so much with the position and the upgrading of that position, but I am interested in the contract situation. I don't know if we could drill down a little bit on something like that.
I know Londonderry got a sweetheart deal with their contractor because he lives in Londonderry.
Yep.
And he was actually one of the people that was involved in that contract at Town Hall. He was one of the staffers that was there. I don't know what Salem has in their contract, but I know they went out. But it's roughly around $250,000.
Because more thought on it is that, from what I understood, our current technology guy does us a great deal as well. And so I don't know, what we might be looking into with when he does retire. So, I mean, unless it's a real rush to get the final answer, I'd kind of like to hear more about it, I guess.
Okay. I would like to say that the position's been vacant for several months now, and it is, you have a finance director who's helping out in the IT department.
Uh-oh.
So,
Kyle was plowing 2 weeks ago. and
Kyle was
Um,
plowing.
there's a
you know,
pattern
I,
here.
I was helping out with deployment of these voice over IP phones throughout the town and things of that sort. So, we would request that we would be able to fill this assistant, because remember, we have a gentleman who's been here for 30-odd years in the IT, and we need to get somebody up to speed and caught up with our operations, whether we're gonna need somebody to move forward. And when the retirement happens, we can look at outsourcing some of the functions at that time as well.
I'm with you on that. If you're ready to hire as soon as possible.
We're trying to
I would be
hire as soon
amenable
as
to that.
possible.
Okay. I'm on board with that then for now, but I would like to look deeper. Thank you.
I'm just gonna say one thing, ransomware. Okay, what would that cost the community? Yeah, oh, I know it's here, but it's, that's why we gotta keep it staffed, keep these have the right, people with the right knowledge and skills there, so, again, that's, I can't emphasize it, you see it every day, and it's, so.
Nancy?
I agree with you, Finley. I think there's a need now for it, and we do have to plan for the future when Chuck retires, and to have someone on hand who is already on board. But it's not inappropriate, as you're asking, is that we could take a look prior to that time or in between, what would the contracted services be? Because when Chuck retires, it would be nice to have that answer already in place,
Technology
that we would have
coordinator.
already examined it.
Our technology coordinator.
Our technology coordinator. Yes, him too. So we could have that information, have deliberated upon it prior to having to make a decision
Yes.
for the coordinator.
Great. For the-
But I support this.
Lon?
Yeah, I second everything that I've heard. I was really impressed with the information I was provided as a council member through this memo. I'll admit, anybody can look at me and know, I'm not a super IT high-tech guy. But I understood this. I understood it from where Pete was coming from in his very first comments about how important this stuff has become in terms of keeping yourself secure. Go for it.
Absolutely. Any other comments? I was going to joke with you and ask if you understood half of what you said when you were describing the position,
I do have an IT background where I used to work. Prior life, Paul worked with an IT company, so I know what this stuff is.
but, okay, cool. Because I knew what most of it was too, and I just thought it was humorous. But anyway, it does get really deep really fast when
Right.
you start talking about a more extensive coordinated type position, which explains why we need to change this from a technology assistant, somebody just bringing monitors and computers around, and to somebody who can understand how they all hook together and communicate and network and all that kind of stuff. And that is a step up. And the transition capability or potential is something we really need to be paying attention to. Barbara?
Yeah, just a couple of questions, Paul.
Okay.
So I'm looking at maybe this being a part-time position versus a full, and that's why I have some questions for you. How many trouble tickets a week are generated by the users in the network?
We don't keep a log of trouble tickets. I can tell you when we were doing the phone upgrade,
Mhm.
Chuck was constantly interrupted with people and software and other issues. Every time there's a problem with remote access not working, or the network going down, or internet going down, we get a phone call. We don't keep, to answer your question in a long way, we do not keep trouble tickets.
Okay.
I do know that being down there, a lot of times the phone does ring off the hook. You got to remember, we have a lot of different programs. We got wastewater using SCADA. We have scale software at solid waste. We have police using their information. Finance has their own software. Assessing has their own software. Town clerk, tax collector has their own software. And a lot of times the problems with town clerk, tax collector, and police, they take emergency, move to the front, because town clerk, tax collector deals with the state of New Hampshire, and we have to have certain protocols in place dealing with the state of New Hampshire, and the same thing with police. And to have, we tried it with a part-time person back in the beginning, and that was the technology assistant, and there was just so much work that we decided to make it a full-time. There was enough work to make it a full-time, to keep both of them busy.
Okay. You can see why I'm asking.
I can
And that's
see
the kind
why
of
you're asking.
detail that we needed that we really didn't have. So is this position, or is it the coordinator's position responsible for the licensure for the seats?
That would be the coordinator's position.
Okay.
To do the licenses for the seats.
Okay.
It would be this position to make sure that the licenses are up to date and rolled out.
And just so everybody knows, how many servers are you running? Do you have any idea?
We're running we're running virtual servers. I think we have 3 virtual servers that we're running.
Okay.
Maybe even more now because the new phone system's on a server. So.
And your
at
disaster,
least 3.
the disaster recovery is actually running through the VMware?
Disaster recovery is running through that. We're also running, we also have disaster recovery through the cloud through ransomware.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Not through ransomware.
Well, the ransomware,
Anti-ransomware.
anti-ransomware
Right.
in the cloud.
Okay. Any other questions, suggestions, or comments? So what is it you want from us tonight?
I would like the council to approve upgrading the position to a grade 15.
Second.
Moved by Lon Wood, seconded by Nancy, to approve the upgrade of the technology assistant's position to an assistant technology coordinator position as described in the paperwork we received today. Any other comments? Bill?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of years ago, when we talked about the technology assistance position, I opposed it because I felt that being the 8th largest community in New Hampshire, I think we should have been contracting out our services to provide a more higher level of service to this particular community. And that's not to slight the current person who's in the job right now. It's just an indicative, a reflection of the fact that as our community is growing, our needs are dramatically changing. As the town manager presented in her budget a couple of weeks ago, she's budgeted I think about $20,000 to put towards cybersecurity, which I absolutely positively support. So I certainly echo the comments made by Councilor Albert in that regard. I personally think we're jumping a little bit ahead of ourselves as it relates to this particular position, because I think the town really needs to take a look at what our technology needs are going to be moving forward. It's very easy to say we need an assistant technology coordinator's position for succession planning, and I certainly understand and appreciate that. But what is that ultimately going to gain us 12, 18 months down the road? Are we going to be in a better position from a technology perspective as opposed to a staffing perspective? And I would suggest to my colleagues that the technology piece with our community, with the myriad of different service that Assistant Director McCallie alluded to tonight, really requires the council to engage the town manager and our department heads to figure out what is an appropriate technology strategy moving forward so that we can determine what are our true staffing needs and what are our true technology needs so that we can not only serve the department heads and maintain continuity of public safety, but also best represent the people that live in our community and be able to provide them with access to stuff in town that they need to be able to on a timely basis. So I think the request from where I sit is a little bit hasty. I know we're coming into budget season, and maybe it's putting the cart before the horse. I would like to see some type of a plan. I would have liked to have seen some type of engagement with our volunteer technology committee, which I think would have been in a very unique place to provide some feedback and perspective as to what the technology concerns are going to be and how are we going to address them. And in that particular vein, look at it from a staffing perspective as how the staffing perspective would be able to implement a plan for those specific technology needs. So I'll be voting no. Not that I don't think that there's a need or not a need. I just think we're putting the cart before the horse on the position.
Nancy?
Tom, I'd like your opinion. You're an IT guy. What is your opinion about contracted versus on hand? Or do you have an opinion about it?
Well, I don't have a solid opinion that I'm about to stand on, but I
Okay.
do believe that with the vacancy of the assistant position, the overworkedness of the current technology coordinator, the fact that he's looking to retire, I think that we need to do something to get somebody with a little bit higher caliber in as a backup, to then give us the opportunity or a little bit of comfort margin to look at it on a more extensive basis, as Finley and Bill and Barb have been pointing out. I don't know that contracting makes sense to me, because every time we've tried contracting with things, we've had issues.
We've had problems.
And IT is a very sensitive position with a lot of personal knowledge that needs to be very carefully covered. And I know people can swear to protect it and all that kind of stuff, but it just feels more comfortable to me if they're an employee, and you have a little bit better grasp on their neck, if you will. But that's a personal opinion.
Gotcha.
And I know that there are companies out there that specialize in this kind of stuff, that specialize in servicing towns and communities, businesses. And so it does make sense to look into it, to see what we can do. And so the challenge, I think, Paul, that you and Eileen need to hear, along with Sharon, is that we should be evaluating exactly how we want to proceed, very in depth, between now and 6 or 8 months from now. That I don't personally see this position as precluding us from going forward in any direction.
Right. Okay.
I think it will help us to alleviate some of the current strain on the current technology coordinator and keep us moving, and have some inside background information on how things are put together and working and things of that nature. So I think it's a good plan to go forward with at this point. Peter?
Paul touched on something, just before he finished speaking, about the different, and I'm not an IT guy, but the different types of systems running within the town. And I've seen it personally only because you gotta remember the police department, Paul mentioned, you've got, everything's software-based now, even our phones, but the 911 and so forth, all the information taken in by the police department. But not only that, but there's a whole nother dynamic of the mobile data terminals from the cruisers to the station and coming through town hall and so forth. And the fire department has their own software
Hospitals,
base, and so forth. So there's, and I've watched that job. I saw Chuck start out when he was solo. Chuck, for the folks at home, is our IT coordinator. Thank you. And so, and it's grown, and there's a lot of responsibility. And to touch upon contracting, our community, like a lot of places, has its own IT system, has its own personality. Now, you have dedicated folks to understand that personality, if you want to call it that, again, not being an IT guy.
Which is what
So,
you're saying.
I mean, again, I think it's important. I think filling it now is very important, and having the right people. So, thank you.
No, sorry, not right at the moment. Is there any other comments? Ben, if you have something quick, why don't you go ahead and add it in? You have to come up to a mic, though, because, Ben, you got to come up to one of the mics.
Ben Niles, 11 Fernwood Drive. There's a firm that I met at the municipal association conference, as I attended their cybersecurity session, and they have 230 government clients. That's 99% of their clientele. They specialize in local governments.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're going to consider outsourcing, I would highly recommend we reach out to them, although I believe we have a consultant now that we work with, do we not?
Correct, we have two.
Okay, so, I'm not sure what their breadth and depth is in their client base, but here's a firm where their client base is people like us.
Yeah, and you
Towns.
gave that information to Eileen last time, I believe, when you
Yeah, I think
told us
so.
about the
Yeah.
fact that you went
Yeah.
to that meeting.
So-
So,
That would bear
Definitely be
looking
in our-
into. It's called VC3,
yep,
and their website's vc3.com.
okay,
So-
great, thank you. And that would definitely be something we'd look into as part of our ongoing evaluation.
Research, yeah.
Any other comments? I'll call for a question on the vote to increase or upgrade the technology assistant position to an assistant technology coordinator position. All those in favor signify, pardon? Lon made the
I
motion,
second.
Nancy seconded it,
How quickly we forget.
And that's for upgrading it to a grade 15.
to a grade 15, as presented here tonight.
There was a lot of discussion in the middle.
Seeing no more discussion, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of upgrading to grade 15 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
And Barb, and any abstaining? None. So it passes 5-0 with Barb Healy and Bill Boyd in opposition.
Thank you. And I would like to thank Sharon for writing a very clear and concise memo.
Okay. Yes, Barb?
Actually, Paul, she wrote a very good job description. Having lived in that world for a while myself, so.
Okay. That brings us to a discussion about the town council budget schedule revision. And Paul's put some information in our packets.
Yeah, I'd like to update that memo. It appears that option one, in doing it, there was a mistake, actually, the 16th. There was nothing listed except it was a budget meeting. So the memo I'm passing out right now actually
Is
shows you
updated.
updated what was supposed to go on the 16th of January.
Oh. The assessing welfare, town clerk, tax collector, media, general government.
Right, that, right
Yeah.
there. So
That's the way we are at the
Currently.
moment, right?
that's currently,
And then the option that you're suggesting would be to leave January 8th as it is, but to move the 16th down to the 22nd?
correct. And actually, there's some changes that occurred with the scheduling.
Oh, okay.
For departments, the 8th would include assessing, town clerk, tax collector, media, fire, code enforcement, general government, and a look at revenues. On the 15th, we would look at welfare, library, parks and recreation, summer day camp, communications, police, and police detail. And then on the 22nd, we would look at community development, and then all the DPWs, and then also the proposed issuance of debt at wastewater on that night as well.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments or suggestions on these two options? I know, Barb, you had mentioned that you were unavailable the 15th and 16th. This allows us to at least make one of
Have
those dates
one.
available.
And I can send notes.
Yeah. Option two would allow, at least one date would be the only one you'd miss. And,
And
Is
then we
any-
have the 16th as a snow date instead of the
Yeah.
22nd,
yeah, if necessary.
if necessary.
Any other comments on one versus two? Or other options?
The 16th certainly allows for the Barb thing. Now, your date was what? That you
The
couldn't-
8th. I'm not gonna be here till the evening of the 8th. Might land in Manchester about 7:30, if all is on time.
Okay.
And
So we
that's-
would have the meeting without you.
Yep.
Yep.
The meeting starts at 6:30.
Yeah.
And that's why we kind of changed around the
You
8th
could
as
get here
well.
by 8. No, just kidding.
I'm hoping you'll be done by then.
Oh,
Yep.
God bless you.
You know, that's why we also changed some of the departments around for the 8th, so that,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
so, you know, while they're all important departments, those
I
are
understand.
quicker
No.
departments to go through in the budget process.
So the date's
They're
still on
smaller.
it, but what's covered during that date's moved.
That's
Okay.
changed around a little bit,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Thank
You know,
you.
it's, you know,
Yeah, it was gonna be mostly the Department of Public Works,
Yeah, that's a good.
and that's gonna be an interesting one
right.
as we talk about it. solid waste removal.
Yes.
Any other thoughts or suggestions? I'm tempted to go with option 2 at this point. Just
I
think
agree.
it's the least disturbing to the most members.
I agree.
Okay?
Option
Do
two,
we need a
everyone?
vote on that or motion on that to
I
change their
think
schedule?
pretty much concession on it.
Okay. So we'll plan on option 2 for those that were paying attention and wondering about our meeting dates. We will still be meeting on January 8th at 6:30 in the morning, in the evening, in the evening. Well, that would make sure I wasn't here. 'Cause that'll be 5:30 back in,
This is the new schedule.
Central.
Option 2, that's
Um,
correct.
So option 2, January 8th, 6:30 will be our budget meeting. January
Yeah.
9th, town council meeting. January 15th, the budget meeting at 6:30 here. And then the 16th meeting gets moved out, so the 22nd is a budget meeting and our regular council meeting is on the 23rd. Council meetings are at 7, budget meetings start at 6:30. Okay, but sound good to everybody?
Sounds good.
Thank you very much. Brings us to minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes tonight. Anybody have any thoughts on the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, move the Thursday, November 21st, 2019 Town Council meeting minutes as presented.
Minutes from, moved by Bill and seconded by Peter. Any corrections or changes? Barb?
Yeah, on page 3, line 3, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The acronym for pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder associated with Streptococcus pans. Can we just change the word pediatric from the English spelling to the American spelling?
Yeah, that's what I had marked on mine too.
Mhm.
So drop the A.
Yeah,
PED.
both are correct, but in this case, this is an American organization, and therefore it should be in Americanese, if you will.
Americanese. Okay. Anything else? So if I can direct your attention to page 14, starting in line 24. I wanted to reword it a little bit. It says Chairman Koenig noted that to be an ongoing conversation between the governor, or planned with the governor and Commissioner Sheehan. I think Chairman Koenig noted that there is an ongoing conversation planned with the governor and Commissioner Sheehan. And then in the next line, come to a town council meeting. I would drop town council and just say, come to a meeting in town and witness the situation firsthand. It may be that they will be planning on coming to a town council meeting in the future, but I think we have another meeting planned ahead of that where they would just come and get an eyeball of Merrimack and stuff. So I wanted to try and make that a little, that was my intent in saying that. And then on line 26, the intent behind the meeting is to be able to keep the governor and commissioner aware of traffic issues in Merrimack. Trying to keep it all current instead of past tense. That's all I had extra in there. I also saw the pediatric, wondered about that. Any other changes or corrections? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the council minutes of November 21st as modified, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 7-0-0. We have minutes from December 5th.
Mr. Chairman, move the Thursday, December 5th, 2019 Town Council meeting minutes as presented.
Moved by Bill and Council, Vice Chair Bill and seconded by Councilor Peter Albert. I heard your name first, so I heard your voice first. Were there any additions or changes by anybody? Barb?
Yeah, I had one question. On page 7, line 14 going into 15, the town met with Value Engineering and the project is back to the people designing the upgrade. Is Value Engineering a company or is it the process of reviewing? Because it can be either and I wasn't sure.
What line is this?
I'm sorry.
15.
14 into
14 going
15.
into 15. I mean, value engineering is a process that you do for reviewing.
It's a process. They did
Yeah,
the
so I
value
wasn't
engineering
sure how it was
process.
being used here.
How about the town met,
To discuss.
the town met, to discuss value engineering, and the project is back to the people designing the upgrade.
That works.
Works for me.
Thank you, Nancy.
The first time I ever encountered value engineering was when we were running short on money when we were coming up with the highway garage.
Yeah.
And things, primarily in the beginning, the excavation costs were almost, 2.5 times what we had anticipated. But, so am I understanding this, that we're having, our bond amount is tight, or?
No, what happened is because of the dollar amount of this bond, over $22 million,
They're just trying to,
the state revolving fund has mandated that we use value engineering in the
Okay.
project to make sure that we're not making sure everything is as we can get the most for our dollar as possible.
very good, thank you.
Anything else? On page 9 of 14, line 13, talks about ransomware purchase for $23,000. I just want to point out that we're not purchasing ransomware. It's one word, and we're purchasing either an anti-ransomware or some kind of ransomware insurance or something like that. So I would just put anti-ransomware, but ransomware is one word in this case.
Yep.
And if there's nothing else, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the minutes of December 5th as modified, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Peter's abstaining. You were excused. Good job. Thank you. So that passes 601 with
Him back.
Pete. Yeah, really. We don't have to think about you being in warm weather. Anyway.
It is a tease.
Absolutely. Thanks. Which brings us to comments from the press. Being none here, comments from the public. Nobody approaching. Comments from the council. Peter, do you have
I
something?
just want to recognize a passing of a longtime resident, Miriam Bonislavsky. She passed away, a very nice woman. Her husband Stan was involved in the community, both were really nice people. And my sympathies go out to the family, and she was a neighbor at one point, and they're good people.
Mrs. Bonislavsky and Mr. Bonislavsky were in my wedding. They are very good friends of my father and mother-in-law. So,
Very good.
very sad. It was a tough loss.
That is a big loss to Merrimack. I know that I worked with Stan quite a bit on the planning board in my earlier years on the council, and he was quite an asset, and I really appreciated him being there. So I'm sorry to hear the family is continuing to dwindle.
He didn't pass that long.
No, it wasn't that terribly long ago. Okay, thank you, Peter, for bringing that to our attention. Barb, you had something you wanted?
Yeah. I had sent you and Paul, as well as Eileen, an email this morning, and that was even before I went to Coffee with a Cop at Buckley's this morning. I've had several people approach me at the tree lighting and parade, and then again I had a few approach me at Buckley's this morning regarding the situation at the Central Fire. There is some postings being done on social media regarding the number of times that equipment is out for calls, and that they have to go to mutual aid for backup. I know what the answer is because I know what the budget is, and I know that there wasn't any additional staff counted in for the budget for this year. Of course, we'll talk about next year in the next coming months. But Paul, I was just wondering, for folks at home, is there anything that can be done to increase the staffing now within this year's budget, and then later into the following year for 2020-21? I think people would feel better knowing, that what was on the books and what was being planned. Just a very short, brief version, because again, we're going to go through this in some depth later on.
Yes, as the town manager mentioned in her budget presentation to the council last meeting, December 5th, that she's looking to increase the overtime in the fire budget to allow them to staff up to 9 people. She has given the fire chief the go-ahead a couple weeks ago to start staffing up to 9 firefighters on staff. Normally, they have 9 firefighters on shift, and then they would drop down to 8 and run the shift at 8. She has given the fire chief permission to start staffing up to 9 again on shifts as he determines necessary. So we will be running full shifts going forward for the rest of this year, and we're looking at increasing the overtime in the budget to allow that to happen into next year as well.
And you're still evaluating the potential for a grant to?
Yeah,
hire someone?
we're evaluating the SAFER grant. I believe that's coming out. If not already, it's coming out it was supposed to come out in December. I don't know if it's been public yet, but the SAFER grant is out there, so we're gonna evaluate the SAFER grant and see how we stand with that as well, and see if that's a potential relief.
Okay. Is that good? Anybody else? Council comments? Lon? I'm sorry. Finley.
Yeah,
You were telling me Finley?
yeah.
Finley.
I'm just wondering, I did receive an email from a gentleman who seemed quite angry, and I thought we'd always been paying attention to this. The comments that you just made, we had about 2 weeks ago at our last meeting, and so I don't know if anybody knows where this originated. That I didn't know it sounded like a raging disaster, and I don't believe it to be. I think the town's very safe. We accommodated. Eileen is always bringing it to our attention when she thinks staffing should be upgraded. It can't happen without a budgeting process that we will go through. So I don't know if anybody knows where this began, because I was kind of surprised to get that email.
I don't know. I was trying to find out and haven't. I was
I
hoping
mean, I
maybe
know
you know.
there's a social media site that's related to the fire department that's putting out a lot of information on Facebook, so that might be where some of this concern came from.
Yeah, probably is. And social media's got its own issues, as far as I'm concerned,
I don't look,
because
so
a lot of
I
that
don't-
can go completely bonkers in a hurry.
All right, well, I think the town should be assured that it's, we have the protection that is necessary and works for us at this point, and with the growth, we recognize it and will address it when the time's appropriate.
And while there's been questions about mutual aid, I'm sure that there's ongoing evaluations of the amount of mutual aid necessary by our staff and management. And at the moment, as far as I know, things are working and behaving as expected. There will be ups and downs in that amount. Hopefully, we're providing mutual aid as kind of a tit-for-tat type situation. But if not, then I'm sure that's going to come bubbling up to the town manager as well, and it'll certainly hit our desk to do whatever we can. Nancy?
The other thing too is, and you may know this, Barbara, you may not, but usually we get a report on the type of calls that the fire department has. In fact, there's this graph that we get, remember? And it really has to do, it demonstrates the number of calls, the time of day of the week, how it ebbs and flows, how many times mutual aid, and I know that has been used in the past to evaluate
Right.
the staffing needs. So I'm sure that's still being done. So that will help. And while I have the floor,
Oh, please.
I just want to wish, before I forget, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope everyone enjoys the time May the weather be with us, not against, not against us. We can't deal with the temperature, but at least as long as, if everyone's traveling, that we have safe weather to do that. And I wish you, the town council, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Yep. We're not going to be meeting again this year, so I have enjoyed working with everybody and look forward to another year going forward. And Paul, if you could extend our not condolences, but our best wishes to the staff, we'd appreciate it. And,
Merry Christmas to everyone,
Merry
and a Happy New
Christmas.
Year.
If there's no other comments from the council,
Motion to adjourn.
we have a motion to adjourn, made by Bill, seconded by Barbara. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 7-0-0. Thank you.